Admiral Kate Morrison stood on the bridge of the ESV Defiant and watched the stars through the big window in front of her. The ship was quiet except for the soft hum of engines and the beeping sounds from computer screens around her. She had been out here in the edge of human space for 3 months now, and nothing much had happened. The 12 human colony worlds were peaceful and safe behind her small fleet of 30 ships. Lieutenant Commander Jake Sullivan walked up to her with a worried look on his face. He held a data pad in his hands and kept looking at it like it might bite him. Kate knew that look well after 20 years in the Earth Space Navy. It was the look people got when they found something they did not want to find. "Admiral, we have a problem," Jake said in a quiet voice. "The long-range sensors are picking up something big moving through hyperspace toward our border worlds." Kate took the data pad and looked at the numbers. Even she had trouble believing what she saw. The energy readings showed massive ships moving fast through the space between stars. There were a lot of them, and they were all heading toward the small mining colonies that humans had built on the edge of their territory. "How many ships do you think this is?" she asked Jake while still staring at the screen. "At least 200, ma'am, maybe more," he answered. "The computers say they are using Zephyrian drive technology." Kate felt her stomach drop. The Zephyrian Empire controlled 300 star systems and had the biggest fleet in the known galaxy. They had never bothered with humans before because Earth only had 12 colony worlds and a tiny fleet. Most aliens thought of humans as a small and weak species that was not worth their time. "Get me Captain Lisa Hayes on the Swift Arrow," Kate ordered. "I want her to take her ship out there and get a closer look at whatever is coming our way." The communication screen lit up and Captain Lisa Hayes appeared. She was young for a ship captain, but Kate trusted her completely. Lisa had grown up on one of the outer colony worlds and knew this part of space better than anyone else in the fleet. "Lisa, I need you to take the Swift Arrow and scout ahead of us," Kate said. "We are getting readings of a large Zephyrian fleet heading toward our mining colonies. I need to know exactly what we are dealing with." Lisa nodded and her face got serious. "How large are we talking about, Admiral?" "At least 200 ships," Kate replied. "Maybe more." Lisa was quiet for a moment. Every human in the fleet knew that Earth only had 30 warships total. Even if they called back every ship from patrol duty, they would still be badly outnumbered by whatever was coming toward them. "I will get you that information, Admiral," Lisa said. "Swift Arrow will leave immediately, far away on the other side of space." Fleet Admiral Vexmar of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship Celestial Dominion. The huge ship was bigger than most human colonies and carried enough weapons to destroy entire planets. Around him in space floated 250 other Zephyrian warships in perfect formation. Vexmar was old, even by alien standards, and had fought in dozens of wars across the galaxy. He had never lost a battle and did not plan to start now. The mission was simple. The humans had claimed some mining worlds that the Empire wanted. The Empire would take those worlds and the humans would learn their place in the galaxy. "Commander, what do our spies tell us about human military strength?" Vexmar asked his second in command. "Very little, sir," the younger alien replied. "They have perhaps 30 small ships and no real weapons to speak of. Our intelligence says their technology is at least 50 years behind ours." Vexmar made a sound that might have been laughter in his throat. 30 ships against our fleet. This will not even be a real battle." He looked out at his massive armada and felt satisfied. Each of his ships carried enough firepower to level a city. His shields could stop any known weapon, and his engines were the fastest in the galaxy. The humans would surrender as soon as they saw his fleet, or they would be destroyed in minutes. What Vexmar did not know was that humans had been very busy for the past 50 years. While the galaxy thought Earth was building simple colony ships and mining equipment, the real work was happening in secret facilities, deep underground on dozens of worlds. The human ships that patrolled the outer colonies looked small and weak, on purpose. Inside those hulls were weapons and engines that used technology the galaxy had never seen before. Human scientists had found ways to make their ships faster and stronger than anything else in space, but they had kept it secret until now. Admiral. Kate Morrison walked to another part of her bridge and looked at a special screen that only she and a few other people knew about. It showed the real status of the human fleet. The 30 ships that everyone could see were just the beginning. Hidden in asteroid fields and behind moons were hundreds more ships that had been built in secret over many years. "Jake," she called to her officer, "send a message to Earth Command. Tell them to activate Protocol 7. Jake looked surprised. Protocol 7 was something they had trained for but never used. It meant that humanity was ready to show the galaxy what they could really do. "Ma'am, are you sure?" Jake asked. "Once we activate Protocol 7, there is no going back." Kate looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, a huge alien fleet was coming to take human worlds and enslave or kill human colonists. For 50 years, humanity had pretended to be weak while they built the most advanced fleet in the galaxy. Now it was time to stop pretending. "Send the message, Jake," she said firmly. "The galaxy is about to learn that Earth is not as helpless as they think." Captain Lisa Hayes pushed her ship Swift Arrow harder than she had ever pushed it before. The Zephyrian fleet was much closer than anyone had expected, and she needed to get information back to Admiral Morrison quickly. What she saw when she finally got close enough made her hands shake on the controls. The alien fleet was enormous. Ship after ship stretched across space in perfect lines like a deadly metal forest. Each vessel was 10 times bigger than any human ship, and they all had weapons pointed forward toward human space. This was not a patrol or a warning. This was an invasion fleet that meant to conquer or destroy everything in its path. Lisa activated her ship's most advanced sensors and began recording everything she could see. The data would help Admiral Morrison plan whatever desperate defense they could mount. As she turned to head back to human space, one thought kept running through her mind. The galaxy was about to discover that humans were full of surprises. Captain Ben Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the ESV Ranger and watched 3 Zephyrian ships drop out of hyperspace right in front of him. His small patrol squadron of 3 ships had been doing routine checks near Kepler Station when the aliens appeared. The enemy vessels were huge and covered with weapons that glowed with dangerous energy. "This is Wing Admiral Kethler of the Zephyrian Empire," came a voice over the communication system. "You will surrender immediately and withdraw from old disputed territories or face the consequences." Ben looked at his 2 companion ships, the ESV Guardian and ESV Falcon, floating nearby. Lieutenant Commander Amy Carter was aboard the Guardian and Captain Pete Johnson commanded the Falcon. All 3 ships together carried less than 300 crew members. The alien ships in front of them probably had 10 times that many soldiers and weapons. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the Earthspace Navy," Ben replied in a calm voice. "We are in human territory conducting lawful patrol duties. If you have concerns about territorial boundaries, I suggest we arrange diplomatic talks." The alien commander made a sound like angry static. "There will be no talks, human. Your species will learn to obey or be destroyed. I will now demonstrate the power of the Empire." 15 more Zephyrian ships appeared out of hyperspace around the 3 human vessels. Energy weapons began charging with a whining sound that made the metal walls of the ships vibrate. Ben knew they had maybe 30 seconds before the aliens opened fire. "All ships activate combat protocols," Ben ordered over the fleet communication channel. "Amy, get your people ready. Pete, take the Falcon and move to attack position 3. What happened next would have seemed impossible to anyone watching from the outside. The 3 small human ships suddenly moved faster than physics should have allowed. Their engines produced a blue glow that bent space around them, and they accelerated toward the alien formation at speeds that should have turned their crews into liquid. Commander Amy Carter felt her ship respond to her thoughts as much as her hands. The Guardian's new neural interface system let her control the vessel like it was part of her own body. She dove between 2 massive Zephyrian ships and fired weapons that the aliens had never seen before. Instead of energy beams, the human ships shot solid projectiles that moved at nearly the speed of light. The alien shields were designed to stop laser weapons and particle beams. They were not designed to stop chunks of metal moving fast enough to punch through planets. Lieutenant Sam Phillips sat at the weapons station on the Ranger and watched. His targeting computer tracked 15 enemy ships at once. The new battle computers could process information 1,000 times faster than alien systems. Every shot he fired hit exactly where he aimed it. Direct hit on their command ship, Sam called out. Their shields are not stopping our kinetic rounds, Captain Pete. Johnson pushed the Falcon through a series of moves that would have been impossible for any other ship in the galaxy. The vessel twisted and spun through space like a fighter plane instead of a warship. The alien gunners could not track something that moved so unpredictably. The Zephyrian ships tried to respond, but their weapons could not hit targets that kept changing direction every few seconds. Their massive size that usually gave them an advantage now made them slow and clumsy compared to the human vessels dancing around them. Wing Admiral Kethver watched in shock as his 15 ships were picked apart by 3 tiny human vessels. His weapons officers were firing everything they had, but the human ships seemed to know where every shot was going before it was fired. "How are they moving like that?" he demanded from his bridge crew. "No ship can accelerate that fast without killing everyone inside." His science officer was staring at his instruments with wide eyes. "Sir, their ships are generating some kind of field that protects them from acceleration forces. Our sensors show they are pulling maneuvers that should create hundreds of times normal gravity." The battle lasted less than 20 minutes. When it was over, 8 Zephyrian ships were destroyed and 7 more were badly damaged and drifting in space. All 3 human ships were still fighting and had taken almost no damage. Ben Rodriguez looked at the wreckage, floating around his small squadron, and felt sick to his stomach. He had not wanted this fight, but the aliens had forced it on him. Now 15 ships full of living beings were dead or dying in the cold vacuum of space. "This is Captain Rodriguez to any surviving Zephyrian vessels," he broadcast on all frequencies. "We are prepared to offer medical assistance to your wounded. This conflict does not have to continue." Wing Admiral Kethver stared at his communication screen in disbelief. The humans had just destroyed half his formation, and now they were offering to help the survivors. His own fleet would have let the defeated enemies die in space without a second thought. "Human captain," Kethver said slowly, "how is this possible? Your ships are so small, and we had you outnumbered 5 to 1. We tried to avoid this fight, Admiral." Ben replied, "But we will defend our people and our territory. We suggest you return to your empire and tell them that humans are not as weak as they appear." The surviving Zephyrian ships jumped back into hyperspace, carrying news that would shake the empire to its foundations. A tiny human patrol had destroyed a formation that should have been able to conquer entire star systems. Back at Kepler Station, Commander Amy Carter helped coordinate rescue operations for the alien survivors. Human medical teams worked alongside their own doctors to save as many lives as possible. It was not the way most species conducted warfare, but it was the human way. "Captain Rodriguez," came Admiral Morrison's voice over the long-range communication system, "please report your status." 3. "Ships operational, Admiral," Ben replied. "Minor damage to all vessels. We engaged a Zephyrian formation of 15 ships. 8 destroyed, 7 disabled. No human casualties." There was a long silence before Admiral Morrison responded. "Repeat that last part, Ben." "No human casualties, Admiral. The new combat systems worked better than we hoped." Admiral Morrison felt a mixture of pride and worry. The secret weapons and technology that humans had developed were clearly superior to anything the galaxy had seen before. But now the secret was out, and every alien empire would know that Earth was not the helpless planet they had thought. "Ben, I want you to escort any alien survivors to the nearest neutral station," she ordered. "Show them every courtesy and make sure their medical needs are met. Then return to base immediately." "Understood, Admiral." Fleet Admiral Vexmar received the report from Wing Admiral Kethver 3 hours later. At first he thought it was some kind of mistake or enemy trick. 15 Imperial warships destroyed by 3 human patrol vessels was impossible. "Show me the battle recordings," he demanded. The holographic display showed the engagement from multiple angles. Vexmar watched the human ships move with impossible speed and agility. while their weapons punched through shields that should have stopped anything. His hands clenched into fists as he realized what this meant. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked. His second-in-command, Dexmar, stared at the recordings for several more minutes. Everything he thought he knew about human military capability had just been proven wrong. If 3 small ships could destroy 15 of his best vessels, what could 30 ships do? What about 100 ships? "Send a message to the Imperial Council," he ordered finally. "Tell them we need to completely reevaluate our intelligence about human military strength. Also tell them we may need a much larger fleet." "How much larger?" "Sir, all of it," Dexmar replied grimly. "We may need to bring every ship in the Empire." Fleet Admiral Dexmar stood on his command bridge and looked out at the largest fleet in Zephyrian history. 430 ships floated in perfect formation around his flagship. Every vessel was armed with the most advanced weapons. The Empire could build and crewed by their best soldiers and officers. The target was New Geneva, a human colony world that had rich mineral deposits the Empire wanted. Intelligence reports said the planet was defended by only 6 human warships and a few orbital defense platforms. After the shocking defeat at Kepler Station, Dexmar was taking no chances. "Sir, we are approaching the New Geneva system," reported his navigation officer. "The human ships are already in position around the planet." Dexmar activated his communication system and opened a channel to the human defenders. The face that appeared on his screen belonged to a middle-aged man with calm eyes and graying hair. "This is Captain Troy Mason of the ESV Liberator," the human said. "You are entering human territorial space with a hostile fleet. State your intentions." "I am Fleet Admiral Dexmar of the Zephyrian Empire," came the reply. "You will surrender this system immediately or face complete annihilation. You have 10 minutes to evacuate your people." Captain Troy Mason looked directly into the camera and smiled. It was not a friendly smile, but the kind of expression a predator made when it saw prey that did not know it was being hunted. "Admiral, I want to thank you for bringing such a large fleet to our system," Troy said in a conversational tone. "It will make an excellent demonstration of how Earth protects its children." The communication channel closed, leaving Dexmar staring at a blank screen. He had expected the humans to beg for mercy or at least try to negotiate. Instead, their commander seemed almost happy that 400 ships had come to destroy his planet. "All ships move to attack formation," Dexmar ordered. "Prepare to engage the human vessels." The massive Zephyrian fleet began moving toward the 6 human ships that guarded New Geneva. The aliens expected the small human force to either run away or die quickly under the overwhelming firepower heading their way. Commander Ellen Brooks sat in the pilot's seat of the ESV Viper and felt her heart racing with excitement rather than fear. The Viper was one of the new fast attack ships that Earth had built in secret. It was small and looked harmless, but it carried weapons that could destroy ships 100 times its size. "This is Liberator Actual to all defending ships," came Captain Mason's voice over the combat frequency. "Execute Plan 7. Show them what humans can do when someone threatens our families." Ellen pushed her engines to full power and felt the Viper leap forward like a living thing. The ship's stealth systems activated, making it nearly invisible to enemy sensors. Around her, the other human vessels began moving in patterns that seemed random, but were actually perfectly coordinated. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with thousands of energy weapons lighting up the darkness of space. Laser beams and particle cannons created a deadly light show as they tried to hit the human ships. But the human vessels were no longer where the aliens thought they were. Captain Pete Johnson commanded the heavy cruiser ESV Thunder and watched his tactical display track over 400 enemy targets. The ship's quantum computers were processing battle information faster than any organic brain could understand. Every enemy vessel's position, speed, and probable next move appeared on his screens in real time. "Fire solution ready, sir," reported his weapons officer. "Target their command ships first," Pete ordered. "Let's cut off the head of this snake." The Thunder's main guns fired projectiles that moved at significant fractions of light speed. The tungsten rods were guided by quantum targeting systems that made missing virtually impossible. Each shot hit exactly where it was aimed with the force of nuclear weapons. Major Rebecca Turner coordinated the orbital defense platforms around New Geneva and watched in amazement as the human fleet tore through the alien formation. The enemy ships were firing everything they had, but they might as well have been shooting at ghosts. "How are our ships doing that?" she asked her technical officer. "The new jump drives, ma'am," came the reply. "They can teleport short distances instantly. The aliens are shooting at where our ships were, not where they are." Ellen Brooks pushed the Viper through a series of quantum jumps that brought her ship behind the enemy formation. She fired a spread of kinetic missiles at 3 Zephyrian destroyers and watched them explode in balls of fire and metal. Before the aliens could react, she jumped again to a new position. The battle became a nightmare for the Zephyrian fleet. Human ships appeared and disappeared at will, striking with impossible accuracy before vanishing again. The aliens could not hit targets that were only visible for seconds at a time. Captain Troy Mason brought the Liberator alongside a massive Zephyrian battleship and opened fire with weapons the aliens had never encountered. Instead of trying to penetrate the enemy's shields, the human guns fired projectiles that passed right through them as if they were not there. "Impossible!" screamed the Zephyrian ship's captain as his hull was torn apart by weapons that ignored his defenses. "How can they shoot through our shields?" The secret was phase technology that allowed human weapons to exist in multiple dimensions at once. The projectiles passed through normal matter until they reached their target, then shifted back into regular space to cause maximum damage. Fleet Admiral Lexmar watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically destroyed by 6 small human ships. Vessels that had conquered dozens of worlds were being picked apart like toys by an enemy that seemed to obey different laws of physics. "Sir, we have lost over 200 ships," reported his tactical officer in a shaking voice. "Our remaining vessels are requesting permission to retreat." Lexmar looked at his battle display and saw the truth written in burning wreckage scattered across the star system. The largest fleet in Zephyrian history was being defeated by a handful of human ships that fought like nothing he had ever seen before. "How many human ships have we destroyed?" he asked quietly. "None, sir," came the devastating reply. "All 6 enemy vessels are still operational." The words hit Lexmar like physical blows. His fleet of over 400 ships had not managed to destroy even one human vessel. Meanwhile, the humans were tearing through his formation like it was made of paper. "Signal general retreat," he ordered with a heavy heart. All ships jumped to hyperspace immediately. The surviving Zephyrian vessels fled the New Geneva system, leaving behind the wreckage of over 300 ships. The human defenders had not lost a single vessel and had suffered only minor damage to their hulls. Captain Troy Mason opened a communication channel to the fleeing aliens. "Admiral Lexmar, this is Captain Mason. You are welcome to return any time. You want another lesson in how humans defend their worlds." The Zephyrian flagship jumped into hyperspace carrying news that would terrify every empire in the galaxy. Humanity was not the weak primitive species they had believed. Earth possessed military technology that made them the most dangerous force anyone had ever encountered. Back on New Geneva, the colonists celebrated their victory while human rescue ships searched for alien survivors. Even in the aftermath of battle, humans showed mercy to their defeated enemies. It was a concept that most alien species found difficult to understand. Admiral Kate Morrison received the battle report while orbiting Earth in her flagship. 6 ships had defeated over 400 alien vessels without suffering a single casualty. The secret weapons and technology that Earth had developed were proving to be more effective than anyone had dared hope. "Send a message to all human colonies," she ordered. "Tell them that Earth stands ready to defend every human world, no matter how far from home they are." The message that went out across human space was simple but powerful. Earth's children were under protection of the most advanced fleet in the galaxy, and anyone who threatened them would face the consequences. Ambassador Prime Velter of the Hegemony of United Worlds stepped aboard the human flagship ESV Constitution with a mixture of curiosity and fear. News of the Zephyrian fleet's destruction had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every major Powell was now scrambling to understand how a small, human force had defeated one of the largest armadas in galactic history. Admiral Kate Morrison greeted the alien diplomat with a warm smile and extended hand. The gesture surprised Velter, who was used to more formal and intimidating diplomatic protocols. Most species that possessed such devastating military power used fear as their primary tool of negotiation. "Welcome aboard, Ambassador," Kate said as she shook the alien's multiple hands. "I hope your journey from hegemony space was comfortable." Velter looked around the human ship's bridge with wide eyes. The technology he saw was unlike anything in his experience. Control surfaces seemed to respond to thought rather than touch, and the displays showed information in ways that made complex data instantly understandable. "Admiral Morrison, I must confess that my government sent me here expecting to meet with dangerous warmongers," Velter said carefully. "Instead, I find myself welcomed by people who seem more interested in hospitality than intimidation." Kate laughed and gestured for the ambassador to follow her toward the observation deck. "Come with me, Ambassador. I want to show you something that might help explain human intentions." The observation deck of the Constitution offered a spectacular view of human space. Dozens of ships moved in organized patterns while construction platforms built new vessels and habitats. But what caught Velter's attention was not the military hardware, but the civilian traffic moving between the ships. "Those are colony transport vessels," Kate explained as she pointed to a group of large ships heading toward the outer systems. Each one carries families and supplies to build new human communities on distant worlds. Velter watched the peaceful scene and tried to reconcile it with the reports of devastating military capability that had brought him here. "Admiral, your fleet destroyed over 400 Zephyrian ships without losing a single vessel. The galaxy is concerned that humanity might use this power to conquer other species. Let me show you something else," Kate said as she activated a holographic display. The image showed a detailed cutaway of one of the human ships revealing its internal structure. Captain Rick Davis joined them on the observation deck carrying a datapad full of technical specifications. "Ambassador, these are the blueprints for our new medical facilities. Each of our ships carries enough equipment to treat casualties from multiple species, not just humans." The alien diplomat studied the technical drawings with growing amazement. The human ships were not just weapons of war but complete mobile cities capable of supporting thousands of people. Medical bays, terraforming equipment, manufacturing facilities, and even educational centers were built into every major vessel. "We build our ships to protect and nurture life, Ambassador," Kate explained. "The weapons are necessary because the galaxy can be a dangerous place, but our real purpose is to help humanity grow and prosper among the stars." Commander Grace Miller approached the group carrying reports from the diplomatic corps. "Admiral, we have received formal contact requests from 17 different species since the Battle of New Geneva. Most of them are asking about trade agreements and mutual defense pacts." Velter was not surprised by this news. Smaller civilizations throughout the galaxy had been watching humanity's rapid rise with great interest. A species that could defeat massive fleets while showing mercy to defeated enemies was exactly the kind of ally that weaker powers needed. "There is something else you should know, Ambassador," Kate said as she activated another display. "We have been monitoring communications from several major powers. Not everyone in the galaxy is happy about humanity's emergence." The holographic screen showed intelligence reports about fleet movements from the Dominion of Eternal Night. The ancient empire that had ruled through fear for thousands of years was mobilizing its shadow fleet for what appeared to be a massive military operation. "Admiral Nixthara commands their forces," Grace reported. "Intelligence suggests they view humanity as a threat to the established galactic order. They may be planning a preemptive strike against Earth." Velter felt his stomach sink as he read the reports. The Shadow Fleet was legendary throughout the galaxy for its brutality and effectiveness. If the Dominion decided that humanity needed to be destroyed, the coming battle would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "How many ships do they have?" Kate asked as she studied the intelligence data. "At least 2,000 vessels," Admiral Grace replied. "Possibly more." They have been calling in ships from across their entire empire. The numbers made Velter dizzy. With fear, 2,000 ships was an armada large enough to conquer entire sectors of space. Even with their advanced technology, he could not see how the humans could survive such an overwhelming assault. Admiral Morrison, Velter said carefully. Perhaps it would be wise to seek a diplomatic solution with the Dominion. My government would be willing to help mediate discussions. Kate smiled, but there was steel in her eyes. We appreciate the offer, Ambassador, but humanity has learned that some beings only understand strength. If the Dominion wants a fight, we will be ready for them. Captain Rick Davis activated the ship's main communication system and opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Morrison, this is Earth Defense Control. We have received your request for fleet status updates. The voice that came through the speakers belonged to Admiral Helen Parker, who commanded Earth's home defense forces. Kate, we now have 500 ships operational and ready for combat. The new construction facilities have exceeded all production estimates. Velter nearly fell over when he heard the number. 500 ships represented a larger fleet than most galactic empires possessed. How had humanity built so many advanced vessels in such a short time? Ambassador, Kate said as she noticed his shocked expression, humanity has been preparing for this moment for over 50 years. We knew that eventually the galaxy would notice us, and we wanted to be ready. The alien diplomat looked out at the human fleet with new understanding. What he had initially seen as rapid military expansion was actually the culmination of decades of careful planning and preparation. Humanity had been building the most advanced fleet in galactic history while pretending to be a weak and insignificant species. There's one more thing I want to show you, Kate said as she led Velter toward the ship's engineering section. I think you will find our latest development particularly interesting. The engineering deck of the Constitution housed technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Massive quantum computers processed information at impossible speeds while energy conduits carried power that could light entire star systems. Chief Engineer Ryan Walsh greeted them with enthusiasm as he gestured toward his latest creation. Ambassador, this is our new stellar manipulation system. We can use it to harness the power of stars themselves for both defensive and offensive purposes. Velter stared at the machinery with growing horror and amazement. The humans had not only developed weapons that could destroy fleets, but they had learned to use the fundamental forces of the universe as tools of war. Admiral Morrison, Velter said in a quiet voice. I came here expecting to negotiate with a dangerous new military power. Instead, I find that humanity may be the most advanced civilization the galaxy has ever known. Kate nodded thoughtfully. We prefer to think of ourselves as the galaxy's newest protectors, Ambassador. Humanity wants to build a better future for all species, but we will defend ourselves against anyone who threatens that. The meeting continued for several more hours as Velter learned about human technology, culture, and intentions. By the time he prepared to leave, he had a completely different understanding of what Earth represented. Admiral, I will report to my government that humanity seeks peaceful cooperation with all species, he said as he prepared to board his shuttle. But I will also warn them that anyone who threatens Earth will face consequences beyond imagination. The combined fleet of 3 galactic empires dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system like a metal storm cloud blocking out the stars. Admiral Nixthara of the Dominion stood on her flagship's bridge and counted over 2,000 ships, spread across space in perfect battle formation. The Shadow Fleet, the Crimson Armada, and the Void Legion had united for the first time in galactic history, with one purpose: to destroy humanity before Earth became too powerful to stop. This is Admiral Nixthara of the combined Imperial forces. She broadcast toward Earth on all frequencies. The species known as humanity will surrender immediately and submit to galactic authority. You have 1 hour to begin dismantling all military installations and warships or face complete extinction. The response came from Admiral Kate Morrison aboard the ESV Constitution, which floated calmly in the center of a formation of human ships. This is Admiral Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. We reject your ultimatum and invite you to witness what happens when someone threatens Earth's children, Nixthara studied the human formation through her tactical displays and felt confident about the coming battle. The humans had perhaps 500 ships against her force of over 2,000 vessels. Even with their advanced technology, the numbers were simply too overwhelming for them to survive. "All ships prepare for final assault," she ordered. "We will show the galaxy what happens to upstart species that challenge the established order." Captain Alex Turner stood on the bridge of the ESV Enterprise and watched the massive alien fleet begin its attack run toward Earth. His ship was part of the main battle line that would meet the enemy head-on, while other human vessels executed more specialized roles in the coming engagement. "Captain, we are receiving targeting data from Fleet Command," reported his tactical officer. "The enemy formation is exactly where our computers predicted it would be." Alex smiled as he realized that human battle computers had been analyzing alien fleet tactics for months. Every move the combined armada made had been anticipated and countered. Before the battle even began, Commander Nina Walsh piloted the experimental ESV Phantom through multiple quantum dimensions simultaneously. Her ship existed in several different realities at once, making it impossible for enemy sensors to track or weapons to hit. She could strike at alien vessels from angles that did not exist in normal space. "Phantom to Fleet Command," she reported. "I have clear shots at 17 enemy capital ships. Requesting permission to engage." "Permission granted," came Admiral Morrison's reply. "Show them what humanity can do." The Phantom's weapons fired projectiles that traveled through folded space to hit their targets instantly. Alien ships began exploding without any visible cause as the dimensional weapons struck them from impossible directions. The main alien fleet opened fire with thousands of energy weapons, creating a light show that could be seen from Earth's surface. But when the deadly barrage reached the human formation, something impossible happened. The human ships absorbed the energy and converted it directly into power for their own systems. "Impossible!" screamed Admiral Nixthara as she watched her fleet's most powerful weapons make the enemy stronger instead of destroying them. "No technology can do that." Captain Steve Parker commanded the massive dreadnought ESV Sovereign and felt his ship's power levels climb higher with every alien attack. The new energy conversion systems turned enemy fire into fuel for human weapons and shields. "All batteries charged and ready, sir," reported his weapons officer. "We are showing power levels at 300% of normal. Target their flagship," Steve ordered. "Let's end this quickly." The Sovereign's main gun fired a beam of pure energy that tore through space like a lance of white fire. When it struck Admiral Nixthara's flagship, the alien vessel simply ceased to exist, leaving only glowing particles drifting in the vacuum. But the human fleet's most devastating surprise was yet to come. Captain Steve activated the Sovereign's stellar manipulation system and began drawing power directly from Sol itself. The ship's hull glowed with the light of Earth's sun as it prepared to demonstrate humanity's ultimate weapon. "This is Captain Parker to all enemy vessels," he broadcast. "You have seen our defensive capabilities. Now witness what happens when we attack." Solar flares erupted from the surface of the sun under human control, traveling across space at incredible speed toward the alien formation. The flares carried enough energy to sterilize entire planets, but the humans directed them with surgical precision to strike only military targets. The alien fleets watched in terror as controlled solar storms swept through their formations like the wrath of an angry god. Ships that had survived thousands of battles were vaporized instantly by forces that no shield or armor could resist. The humans had turned the very star that gave life to Earth into a weapon of unimaginable power. Admiral Kate Morrison stood on her bridge and watched the enemy fleet dissolve under the assault of solar fire and human weapons. She felt no joy in the destruction, but knew that this demonstration was necessary to protect human worlds across the galaxy. "Open a channel to all surviving enemy vessels," she ordered, her voice carried across space to the remnants of the once mighty armada. "This is Admiral Morrison of Earth. We did not want this war, but you forced it upon us. Any ship that wishes to surrender will be treated with honor and mercy. Any ship that continues to fight will be destroyed," the response was. Immediate, as hundreds of alien vessels signaled their surrender. The commanders who had come to destroy humanity now begged for the chance to survive the battle they had started. Captain Troy Mason brought his ship alongside a damaged alien cruiser and began coordinating rescue operations for the enemy survivors. Even in the aftermath of the greatest space battle in galactic history, humans showed compassion to their defeated foes. Commander Ellen Brooks flew the Viper through the wreckage field searching for alien escape pods and lifeboats. Her ship's medical bay was soon filled with wounded enemies who received the same care that would be given to human casualties. The battle was over in less than 4 hours. Of the 2,000 ships that had come to destroy Earth, fewer than 300 survived, and most of those were too damaged to fight. The human fleet had suffered minor damage to less than 50 vessels and no casualties at all. Fleet Command, this is Captain Alex Turner aboard the Enterprise, came the report from the main battle line. All enemy resistance has ceased. We are beginning search and rescue operations for survivors. Admiral Kate Morrison looked out at the debris field that had once been the galaxy's most powerful armada and felt the weight of what had just happened. Humanity had proven beyond any doubt that Earth was now the dominant military power in known space. Send the message to all galactic governments, she ordered. Tell them that Earth seeks peaceful relations with all species but will defend human worlds against any threat. The age of humanity has begun. The news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than hyperspace travel. Within days, every major civilization knew that the small human species had defeated the combined might of 3 empires without suffering significant casualties. Captain Rick Davis led a fleet of human ships toward the nearest neutral station carrying thousands of alien prisoners of war. The defeated enemies would be treated well and eventually return to their homeworlds with a clear message about human intentions. This is Captain Davis to Station Commander Velkin, he broadcast as his ships approached the alien facility. We are bringing wounded personnel from the recent engagement. We request medical assistance and temporary housing for prisoners of war. The alien station commander was amazed by human behavior. Most species that won such decisive victories would either execute their prisoners or demand massive ransoms for their return. Instead, the humans were asking for help in caring for defeated enemies. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Kate Morrison walked through the corridors of her flagship and visited the medical bays where human doctors worked alongside alien physicians to treat wounded from both sides. It was exactly the kind of cooperation she hoped to see throughout the galaxy. Admiral, called Commander Grace Miller as she approached with a stack of communication requests. We have received formal diplomatic contact from 47 different species. Most are requesting trade agreements or mutual defense pacts. Kate smiled as she realized what this meant. The galaxy had seen that humanity possessed the power to destroy any enemy but chose instead to show mercy and seek cooperation. It was exactly the reputation she had hoped Earth would build among the stars. Lieutenant Commander Jake Sullivan brought her the final battle reports showing the true scope of human victory. Admiral, our ships performed even better than expected. The new quantum targeting systems achieved 98% accuracy and the energy conversion shields absorbed enough power to run Earth's entire electrical grid for a year, the most important message came from Earth itself, where billions of humans watched the battle through live broadcasts from the fleet. President Sarah Johnson addressed the planet from the Capitol while images of human ships protecting their world played on screens around the globe. My fellow humans, she said with pride in her voice, today we proved that Earth's children will never again live in fear of alien conquest.